Hello, 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 my beautiful people. Is Adriana, your host, and hello and welcome back to Perspective Podcast, where we explore stories and shift perspective and inspire people to transformation. And today I have my amazing friend all the way from Europe, from Amsterdam, Gina. I am so excited to introduce her. Gina, she's a visionary of a world of functional medicine and holistic health. And boy, what we need it, especially after Christmas. Gina combines science, intuition, and her own transformation experience to create customized health styles for her clients. With experience in gut health, stress counseling, and hormonal health and nutrition, she is dedicated to help others to bridge the gap between traumatized health and holistic bliss. I love that phrase. It's so good. Join us as we're gonna dive Gina's unique approach on covering the secrets of living a more balanced and vibrant life. So welcome to Perspective Podcast, Gina.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Such a pleasure to have you. We've been mingling and connecting through different networks, different events together, but we never had the opportunity to have a one-on-one and discuss and connect deeper. And it's my pleasure to bring amazing, powerful, empowering woman like yourself, all the way from home, because I'm European too. So we connected that way.
Yeah.
I would like to start to ask you as we, with the Perspective Podcast, my goal is to bring people with different incredible stories and share how they changed their perspective. What was a pivotal moment that helped you to decide to change your perspective of who you are, how you saw the world, and then who you are today? Because I believe like sometimes it's that maybe a pivotal moment or multiple moments that lead you to that specific moment when you said, that's it. No more of this.
Yeah, it's quite some years ago already, but I had more pivotal moments, of course, that came a few after. But the real big moment was when I was 31. I almost died of a viral infection on my lungs. And I was been sick all the years before with hormones, with food, with everything you can imagine. And I just got the message every time from the doctors: nothing's wrong with you, it's all between your ears, or you have too much stress. So at that point, I was like, there's something that I need to change, and I need to understand why my body is so sick of all this stress. But what I was denying was the impact of all the traumas that I had been through since I was young. And so I had to accept and to acknowledge that these traumas were real, and that my mom and everything that happened was real. So I had to face that part. And on the other hand, I studied to find out how stress was related with illness and with health challenges, and how it diminished our body, our functional body.
And
so yeah.
And that got you to the point.
Yeah, I got to the point that I started to study again, and then I went to study also rehabilitation training in Amsterdam, and I was like, oh, how would it be to live in Amsterdam? And then I decided to write my own business concept. And then I think within 5 months, somebody in Amsterdam called me to do an assignment for 4 months, and that was the moment that I decided never to come back to my place of birth. So I moved to Amsterdam without consulting with anybody. I just did it. I just got all the words. Yeah.
That you have to have a lot of courage. What was behind that courage? Because I know most of us in general, you have to have a strong why to give you the courage to change your life so drastically and say, that's it, I'm leaving things behind and I'm just gonna start doing without knowing, like literally throw yourself into not knowing what is there.
Yeah, as I grew up, my mom left the family when I was 8-9 years old, and she went away for another man and she left my brother and me with my dad, and then she came back, and then she went away. My dad went away, and a lot of push and pull and a lot of traumatic things happened because my mom went away with a very dangerous man, and she decided to live with him, and so we were constantly on the run. for safety. And then my dad got custody. So at the age of 10, I got to live with my dad, with my brother, and my mom was still doing all these things. So there was constantly danger and a lot of threatening situations. And when you're 10 years old, you live in anxiety, you're completely denying yourself. Also, suddenly, as a woman, as a young woman, I was the woman of the house, and I was very responsible. I was overly responsible. So I took that task very highly, and so all these things combined, and it took 14 years for my mother to leave that man. So it was until my early 20s. So it put a mark on my life and on my health and on everything that I went through, and also my development. But I was very, very curious. I was always being busy with work and getting better, because a teacher at school said to my dad on a meeting, on such a teacher parent meeting, he said that nothing good would ever come out of me. And so my dad came home from that meeting and he told me that. He was so sad. He was struck by it. So he told me that. So I never forget that, never have forgotten that face from him. So I think that was one thing that drove me. I have to become better. I have to do my best. So I became a very highly overachiever because of that. And by the time I got 30, my health was completely zero.
It's incredible how a pivotal moment like that can help you to change, to do certain things, but then also can damage you later on. And then you have to another pivotal moment to be like, I can't do this. When it comes to changing, and so many people, and with your clients, changing is not easy. I think it's the hardest thing for us to change our health habits, to change the way we eat, the way we see each other, ourselves, the way our mindset it is in that moment. What is for you? What was that moment when, or what got you to change your mindset, to be able to say, okay, I'm not gonna live like that anymore. I'm deciding to change my life, and help you to stay in that mindset. Because we tend to, when things get hard, we tend to go backwards and be like, being more comfortable in my uncomfortability than go out there and try to do something different.
It goes also very long way back, because I was born as a premature baby. I was 29 weeks when my mom gave birth to me, and I was not planned. I was really something that was not on schedule, let me put it that way. So I have spent more than 2 months in the incubator, and so I was a very sensitive girl, very highly sensitive. So I felt a lot of things. But to make a long story short, the point that I was almost dying from that viral infection, I was like, everything that happened all these years before came into my head. Like, am I living my life to end like this? Did I went through all that to end like this? Like, I was alone. My family was in India, but I didn't see them, and because I come from a very toxic family system. So I was like, that point that said something to me, like, okay, if you want to do better, you have to go. You have to do something completely the opposite direction. And it's not about blaming other people, but it was really that point that I had something like, I have to take responsibility for my own happiness, because I do have a choice in this. So that was my real why. So I had to really choose for myself, because until that point, I was really living the life for others. I was denying my own needs. I was completely in denial of that, and that was such a confronting moment to really see that, to feel that, and to say, oh, I'm doing this at the expense of my own health, almost of my own life. It's
that is a hard lesson to face, especially when you feel like you don't have support. What was the thing for you that kept you going, especially when did you create your own support system around you, or you had more of an internal with yourself, with the
journal? I was really like, yeah, I was always like, okay, I have to do this. I can do this. And I've got also, you know, my brother were also traumatized by all of this. But my dad, I was so loyal, so overly loyal. So I always felt that I would abandon him, and my mom abandoned him also. You know, like all these, yes, these mind things that you have. It's also this loyalty as a child to your parents, also to my mom. Even after everything that happened, I had that you feel like I cannot do this. You know, I have to stick with them. But then that moment was like, no, I can't. I have to go.
Yes, it's a deep, it has to be that deep why that takes you and keeps you going despite the past, despite the adversity, despite of all the blockages and everything that kind of feel like is stopping you. It's incredible to see how much resilience we have in us and how much resilience we build because of our adversity.
Absolutely.
In your case, how did you maintain that resilience? What was that thing that maintained that resilience in you to be able to keep going, no matter what happened?
I don't know. I think it's just a force within that you have, or you have it, or you don't have it. I don't know. It's just something that was normal to me. You know, like I heard from many people, they say, "How can you handle this?" I said, yeah, "What do you mean?" You know, like I didn't even talk about things that happened at home, and when I did to friends, they start crying. Like I said, "Why are you crying? It's terrible what in the situation you grew up in." I said, "Yeah, but I managed to get through it. You know, I didn't become a worse person because of it. You know, yeah. So it's that mindset that I had from a young age. I have to see the good in everything, and it's not always easy, but it is there."
Yeah, it's a choice. You will say yeah. That's a choice that you do every day. Every single day. And I believe even now that now you're serving people, you're helping other people, you're impacting the world in your own way with your own experiences, and it's still you keep going. Doesn't matter what happened, doesn't matter, you're still doing your own healing and your own journey, meanwhile you're helping and impacting the other people. That's a beautiful thing to witness as well. And I know sometimes from other discussions that even doing this, being in interviews, talking with people, it's something that wasn't too comfortable with, but now you're doing it like nobody else.
That's true. Because a year ago, I was like, I'm not going on screen, because during COVID, I did one last study. It was just after my mom passed away in 2019. And she was very sick the last 12 years of her life, and she really was, because of all the trauma that happened. In long story, I was like, okay, I have to do this one more study, and then I'm done with all these studies, you know. And then COVID came, so I could not work. And then they asked me to do a presentation online. Oh man, I was sick. I was completely sick. Trembling and sweating, and I was like, okay. First I said no more, and then after a few days after, I was like, okay, this is one reason to do it better. This is one reason that I have to do it better, and I have to learn myself to do this. But it took me a few years to find out how the road was to online business. And last year I stepped into an online university, and I was still like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And and then very early in May, somebody invited me for my first interview. And then there was this big snowball. It kept on rolling.
You like open the gates, and now she's like everyone you see Gina everywhere on all the network events and all the podcasts and everywhere. It's incredible. Yeah.
And I'm having so much fun, because I also get this feedback from a lot of people who get inspired, who get little nuggets from things that we share, and that's the reason why you do it. So that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. We're learning from each other so much through just sharing. Sometimes even for myself, I learn so I learned so many things about myself, or I discover new ways of saying this, my story, or saying certain things by keep doing it, because I never said it this way. You know, sometimes it
Yeah.
comes, you know, like, it's, and I believe that's happening with you. You're learning always by always showing up, but always also learning from other stories as well too. That you, I know you interviewing people as well. You're doing your own podcast in this way, and you have people coming in your content, in your container, and then you learn from how they say, what they say, how is impacting you as well. You're like, interesting. So I
Yeah.
see that. But what would be say, like, your biggest lesson or unexpected lesson you have learned about yourself through this journey?
Through this online journey, or do you mean my whole journey?
The whole journey or the online?
I think my biggest nugget, and I think my mission, or my assignment in life, was to get visible. Because I always got the message, even when I was little, that I shouldn't be here. I wasn't supposed to be here, because even at birth, I wasn't supposed to be there. So I was very young. My mom always told me that I wasn't supposed to be there. And then my mom went away. I got the message again and again and again and again. So that was what I had to learn in life, to become visible, to be here, to claim my spot. So that's what I have learned. That was my biggest, it was my biggest, how do you say it? Superpower, to be invisible. Because if I was somewhere, not that I was ashamed, but more like, okay, I should be happy that I'm here. So this is okay. I just take one little spot in this area, or whatever it was, and that was it. So I was always happy with the crumbs, because I was happy to be there.
Yeah. I relate so deeply with this. A lot of the beginnings of my stories are very similar with yours. So I understand you in very profound way what you mean by that. And it is my mission in one way is to help others to be seen the way I aspire to be seen. And it's something that I think is a human need to all of us. We want to be heard, to be seen, and to be acknowledged and accepted for exactly how we are. That we don't have to change, we don't have to fix, we don't have to do nothing. It's a big mission. It's a big mission on our shoulders. But I truly believe that if it was given to you, or it was given to us, is because we can do it. And you are the one that prove yourself and prove to the world that doesn't matter what happened, you can do it. Doesn't matter what's happening to you, you keep pivoting, you keep doing it, you keep moving forward. And that is something that I think can inspire and give so much hope to so many people. But I want to dive deeper into the health, because you're talking about the importance of gut health. You're talking about the importance of balancing and bringing that bliss into your health. What is, say, a practical tools or some little things that you can share with the audience when they don't feel any kind of bliss, especially in their health department?
Yeah, it starts really with very basic things, because I always call it the 5 a day. So if you go to your digestion, your circadian rhythm, your dehydration, the nutrients that you take in, and your mental and your physical activity. So if you have that, if you write that down and you're going to be honest with yourself, then you really see where your energy goes. Mm-hmm. So, and if you want to have a more balanced energy level, then it starts with not eating all day or too less or multiple times a day, because your digestion needs also rest, because your organs are working constantly if you're constantly snacking or whatever you do, and or big meals or very heavy meals or the wrong nutrients. So that's very heavy on your digestion. So those things are very, for me to say, of course, the easy steps. But if you only take one little step at a time, and you peel the layers of your meals only, then you can also make a lot of how do you say that? Progress. Yeah.
Yes.
But the most important part for me, if people ask me, but I said, what time do you go to sleep? Yeah, around 11:30. Before I sleep, it's 12:30. What time do you get out of bed? Yeah, mostly 7, but if I'm lucky, at 7:30. So they're very tired in the morning, and I can I know a lot of people who sleep only 4 or 5 hours a night. So and that's very bad for your health. So because your circadian rhythm is one of the most important health hacks, because your recovery happens at night. So everything that needs to rebuild or needs to be removed or detoxified, that happens in the night. So if you don't respect that, then it will eventually backfires.
Yeah.
Because your hormones will also be settling in the night. And if you go to bed late, so your cortisol will be high, your melatonin will be low, and then you have all these other hormones that are involved because they all have the same source. And if cortisol is high, it's this competition that is going on with the substances that it needs to be built. So, and especially for women, because they have a much more delicate hormone balance than men, and they also need a good night. But when women have a disbalanced hormone, are disbalanced in their hormones, they've got way more complaints and distractions on their health than men. So for women, it's very important to keep to that circadian rhythm. So that is one big advice that I would like to give to a lot of women, because they tend to take care till late in the evening mostly. And then you have this late hour in the evening that they have finally one moment for themselves. And then they go to bed way too late.
Yes, sleep is so important. I know that's something that I'm not, to be honest, I'm not quite there yet. I'm still working on that, to go to sleep earlier and then stop whatever needs to be stopped and just go to sleep earlier. And this idea of I'm a night owl or I'm not a morning person, I think it's just a mindset. It's not the real thing.
I always say,
to someone,
if you have that, if you say to me, I'm a night person or I'm not a morning owl, that means actually that your hormones are already imbalanced because your cortisol is high and your melatonin is low. So, and you can change that, because when I was young, I had very much sleep deprivation because of all the anxiety and stuff. I could not sleep. I did also sleep 4 hours a night if I was lucky. And that was one big of the causes that I got sicker and sicker and sicker, because I could not recover. So, and then I moved to Amsterdam and I could sleep. Suddenly, boom, I could sleep. But now, lately I've been a lot online with all these different time zones, but I really feel it when I'm late in bed, because I love to go to bed at 10 o'clock. It's really one of my non-negotiables.
yes, yeah, it's to make that decision with yourself that your health, it's more important than anything. We tend to leave that the last one. That I think that should be the number one, before family, before anything else. What would you say to a woman that says, yes, Gina, but I'm busy, I have work and business and things happening. When I get home, I still have to do the things that needs to be done home, and then I catch up like 1 o'clock, and that's I can speak that happened to me many times. And also I know a lot of my friends with children that they do that too. What would you say to her?
Yeah, I always say you have priorities and you have urgencies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a choice between them. And then you have this quadrant. I don't know if you say it right, but it's the matrix of Eisenhower. If you use that, you can Google it. you have urgency, you have priority, you have urgent, not urgent, but it's priority, and you've got the rubbish ban. How do you say it? The paper ban. You can throw it out. But if you can balance those things, and you can be honest with yourself, which things are not a priority and which is not an urgency, you can kick a lot of things out. Because I also know people who are still always busy in their head with things they have to be doing and not planning, and it consumes a lot of mind energy, and then they're busy with other things to procrastinate because they want to do actually other things and they don't get to it, but they don't make the agreement with themselves to do it. So it's also being honest with yourself. Are these tasks really things that I need to do now? Or can I do this on an other moment? Can I make a special schedule for these things? Do I really need to do the laundry tonight? Am I the one who needs to do the laundry tonight? Can my husband do it? Can my grown-up child do it? Or whatever. And so are there multiple questions that you can ask yourself? Do I have to do this? Or do I have to do this now? Do I have to do this now? You know, so these questions you can ask yourself with a different angle. And then you can get some beautiful answers out of it, because it's mostly the pressure you put on yourself, and not because it has to be done at that point.
Yes, having that internal serious discussion with yourself, the face.
Always talk with yourself, always.
And that's not a pathological thing, because I know how many people say that's like, are you talking with yourself? I'm like, yes, please talk with yourself.
Yeah. You know, I will confess, I'm living alone for 11 years. And okay, I have to talk to myself, because otherwise no one is talking to me.
Yes. It's actually so,
it's
I
healthy.
think it's so healthy to actually, I think that's where the problem it is, because people don't talk with themselves. They're not learn that it's okay to talk with yourself. It's actually needed and required to talk with yourself. Because like you said, nobody's gonna listen to you better than yourself. Nobody's gonna be more curious about yourself than you. Nobody's gonna care more about yourself than you. So that, I think it's prior to talk with yourself.
And you can coach yourself. You can coach yourself.
Yes. Be your own coach, be your own mentor, be your own cheerleader. I love that. When it comes to habits, we know habits are very important, and habits can be two ways. You know, the bad habits that we keep doing over and over and over, and that's what takes us where we are, to be unhealthy, to be unhappy, and you know, to suffer of anxiety and depression and stress and all these things. But also habits can create a better life. You know, the habits of how you eat, what hour you eat, all these things, when you go to sleep, how many hours. What are your daily habits to keep you always, I see you smiling, or I see you keep going, you know, doing all these things. What are your personal habits that they are, like you said, you are must? I'm like, I will never give up on this.
It's going to bed on time. When I get out of bed, I always get up early. But I must admit, my regular schedule is a bit disturbed, because my dog passed away 4 months ago. So I was really in this routine of every morning out of bed, go for a walk, then come back and do all my things, and everything evolved around him. So when he passed away, I was like a bit lost in my own. Yeah, it's just still very hard to accept, but I was a bit lost in my own habits, and I had to find myself again in this new life. You know, like, how am I going to do this? Because yeah, of course I can go walk by myself, but you also, with these fresh emotions and everything that's happening, you don't do that, because you don't want to bump into people or stuff like that. So I just accepted for myself. I gave myself permission to take first a rest, to find out how can I do this differently. the next thing that I always do is go to the gym before anything else. And then my working day starts. And that's for me very important to keep this tight, and not that I try to skip my gym, because I love to go to the gym. And I only have 3 meal moments a day. That's also very important for me, because that's how my body keeps going, because that's where my energy gets at its best. So in the night, after 6 o'clock, sometimes it happens. Like yesterday, I was on a dinner event, and and then you eat later. But actually, that's one of my things that I do sometimes, because yeah, a lot of people think it's boring, but that's the way I feel good, you know. And so because I know what makes me feel good, I have very little, how do you say that? Resentment to do that like that. So, but I would say live by the 80-20% rule, that you give yourself permission to not do it like in overkill, you know. You have to, yeah, be relaxed for it in it. So that are my 3 non-negotiables: sleep, my food, and my exercise.
Yes, and keep on those things is, I think it keeps you more grounded. It keeps you more grounded, and it doesn't allow the non-priority things to sneak in, because we tend to keep adding, especially as women. We keep adding things, and one day you realize that you give up on your sleep, or you give up on the gym, or you give up on other things, and now you're creating habits that they are not as healthy. Yeah.
But I always, when I coach people, and especially also women, I always say, you know, you want to feel good, so but you don't align that with your choices. So if you want to feel good, what do you need to change? And if you're not wanting to change those habits, why not? So what is more beneficial to you, to feel this way or to make other choices?
Yes. But sometimes we need someone to give us that in straight honesty, and reflect back on us what we either don't see or either don't want to see most of the time.
Yeah, and then you know, I have been very sick and very long, you know, struggling with all these issues. So for me, it's really like I never want to go back there. So for me, it's like very easy choice to make. So, and I know why it's hard for people to make these changes, because especially when you're living with children and a parent, a partner, you're not living by yourself, then you have to deal with that also. So yeah, it's not so easy said. It's easier said than done. Yeah.
Yes, but I think it's important to recognize that we need help. We can do this by ourselves, especially on the beginning, especially until all these are new, they are uncomfortable, they're not gonna be, you know, pleasant on the beginning to do all these changes and stick with them. I think it's important to acknowledge we need the help, we need someone else to be in our corner, someone that understands us, someone that sees beyond the struggles and can reflect back to us what is possible by leading by example, the same like you do.
Yeah, and that's also one of the other things that I do, because it's not only mentally or emotionally, but when you have been through trauma or severe toxic stress or whatever, chronic stress, your body is dysregulated. So it's also part of the physical things that you need to reset. So, and if you explain people, if you give a little bit of education with the process, then they start to understand that the choices they make don't only impact the outcome on mentally, but also physically. And then if you can restore that and rebalance that, rewire that, then you have this whole in one, you know. And then it's not just not willing, but it's also your hormones and your neurotransmission and your gut play a crucial part in this whole system, you know. If you're like having a brain that is saying no, 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 it could also be something else that is interrupting in your body that is saving energy. So that's why I love to peel the layers, you know, it's not just one-way street.
Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. Like you said, it's multiple systems inside of you in your body, but then you have multiple system of like emotional level, mental level, energetic level, the body, health. They all intertwine, they all work together, and you have to find that, you know, as much as you can more balance in between them to bring the harmony. That's what we all need. We all need as well too. So it's interesting too, and it is, I think education is something that's why I admire about you, that you out there, you always, you are the one that always, you said, I'm studying and I keep, you know, learning new things, and then you share that with people, because it's a constant learning and a constant evolution of yourself to be able to serve people even better. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. And it's also knowing that it's very hard when people don't understand you and you feel not acknowledged. You're telling your story like I have had when I was younger, the doctors and saying there's nothing wrong with you, while there was something wrong. And that's one of my drive to help people also, because I know there are a lot of people are completely misunderstood when it comes to their physical health, their mental health, and their emotional how they experiencing things, because of they're not understood, not listened to, and then they're finding their way out, and they can, and then it's easy to hit rock bottom because nobody's listening, nobody's helping, you know. So yeah,
it is. It's, you don't feel, like you said, you don't feel seen or understood by others, and then you feel like, okay, if it's one person doesn't see me or understand me, that's, you know, you just, it's one person. But when you go to doctors, which in our mind, it's, you know, someone that has the answers for me, and even those people don't believe me, then you tend to start believing that I'm the problem, not them.
You think something is completely wrong with you, but because when you ask, doctors never ask how are you really doing, you know. And when they read in your file that there's something from stress in the home situation, it's stress. Then you're actually diagnosed by bias. So, and then you're with your back against the wall. Nobody will help you, because you have to figure out your stress. And that's it.
Yeah, it's so much deeper than we think, but also it's so much easier than we think.
Absolutely.
Or simple, let's call it simple, not easy. It's simple. It's so
complex.
much simple than we think. It's not easy, especially in the beginning when you have to make this shift. It's definitely, I know it from my own experience, that you need the support. I battled by myself with my own health problems for years, and like you said, I went to doctors. Nobody's like, oh, you don't have nothing, you're fine. I'm like, I'm having an asthma attack, I'm dying on the floor, and you tell me I don't have nothing. No, we cannot find nothing, and it becomes frustrating. And like you said, then afterwards you start believing it's all in my head. Apparently I don't have nothing, it's all in my head. And then having other people that went through this and be like, no, I get what you're going through. Let me help you. Let me show you. I love your work, and I will support it in any shape or form I can. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for that. As we're wrapping this up, it's such a beautiful conversation. I think I would love to have you back when we dive deeper in this, especially into the sleep thing, or like the hormone, because there's so many women out there that's struggling with the hormonal balance, including myself. I will be honest. I would love to dive deeper into those subjects as well. What would be your last, like a message that you want to leave to our audience, to the person that's watching, that is maybe struggling in this moment?
Yeah, I always say if something feels off, then it's probably off. So if your environment or people you're talking with are doubting you, then you're asking the wrong persons. And so if you feel that something is not right, or something is off, or whatever level it is, you have to find another person to talk to or to go to. But trust your gut. When something is not right, it is not right.
Yes, that is there for a reason. It's not just it's telling you something. And if you don't listen, you're gonna pay the consequences for sure afterwards. That is amazing. Thank you so much for this beautiful
Thank
conversation.
you.
Where people can find you, where people can connect with you.
On Facebook, anytime. You can just friend me or send me a DM. So I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn, but not that visible there, but so much work. So I focus mostly on Facebook, and I've got my own website, and so you can always find me on Facebook.
Yeah, we will drop all the links in the keynote on the notes of the show as well too. And as we end up this beautiful conversation, I always have 3 final fire questions for all my beautiful guests. And you can answer it in a short version, in a long version, as you wish. So the first one, what is one thing that you do every day that brings you joy?
That's for me?
Yes?
Oh, I thought for your audience. I was just checking in. What is that for me? What brings me joy? Oh, what brings me joy? Yeah, working out, working on myself, going to the gym, make sure my body is doing good. Yeah, that brings me joy.
Keep your body moving.
Absolutely.
Keep your body moving. Second question, if you could have dinner with anybody alive or already passed away, who would that be and why?
Elvis Presley.
Ooh. Why that?
My mom was a big fan. My mom was in love with Elvis since I can remember, and she I grew up with him, and I went to Graceland in 2018, and I still have, when I see him on the screen, I wanna nibble on his cheeks, because I such a handsome man, and I love to hear him sing. So that's why I would have dinner with him, just to make him sing.
Yes, I love that. That's an interesting. I already kind of have a image in my head. I love that. And question number 3, what is your hope for humanity?
My hope for humanity is that it's very deep, but what I really want is that people take responsibility for themselves in order to to break the cycles of trauma, of generational trauma, and make sure that the generation after them gets more healthier, and that ripple goes on. Because I think that there is a responsibility for everybody to contribute in it.
That is a beautiful message for those that are watching or listening today. Thank you so much, Gina, for your presence, for sharing your heart and your story with our audience. It's absolutely a pleasure to have beautiful, amazing people like yourself. Thank you for your time, for your presence. I'm most definitely sure we're gonna have you again here. We dive deeper into some different discussions about how to maintain and keep our health. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening our Perspective podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe it and share it with your friends. Remember that everything in life is just a matter of perspective. See you next time.
Hey.